So here are some tips to keep in mind when you are playing the cash flow game, either by yourself with a bunch of strangers or during the meetup sessions. Okay, so the first tip is to use the chat box, and I will show you where the chat box is on the next slide. Look at your financial statement while other people are having their turn. If you look at your financial statement as part of your turn, when they tell you to do that, you're going to really keep the pace of the game really slow, and it will make it very hard for everybody to enjoy themselves. So to ensure that the pace of the game keeps going fast, okay, the one tip is to always look at your financial statement when everybody else is having their turn. Make sure you know if you're going to be borrowing or repaying before your turn is up or before you start to roll the dice. Okay, and then the last tip is to be patient with yourself and with others who are playing with you. Okay, so on this slide here, I'm going to show you what the interface looks like when you start your game. So on the top left, you have your name, and it shows what icon your piece is, and you will find that in the circle portion of the board, which is the rat race board. And then when you get out of the rat race, this is the dream that you've chosen. So then when you look at the bottom right-hand corner, that's where the chat box is. If you click on that arrow, it will bring it up and you can type in the chat. I highly suggest that you use the chat to get to know other people within your group and to communicate with them. And in the chat, you can ask pretty much any question you like. You can ask them what profession card they got and what the income is or what their expense is. You can ask them how they are creating the certain cash flow that they have. In one of the games that I played, I actually asked somebody how they were able to get out of the rat race within like 5 minutes, and they told me the answer, which is fantastic. Okay, so you want to use the chat box when you can. Okay, the next thing to keep in mind is the financial statement is on the bottom left. If you click on that little tab, it will pop out your financial statement. You can look at the income, the expenses, your cash payout, all that stuff. When you don't want to look at it, just click on it again and it'll pop back in. So I highly, highly recommend that you look at that financial statement when other people are having their turn. The other thing to point out on this interface screen is that you need to click on the end button. Even if you miss a turn, even if you downsize, even, okay, at the very end, you always have to make sure you click on the end button. If you don't do that, people are just going to be sitting there waiting for you, and you're going to be pretty much holding up the game and slowing down the pace of the game. Okay, and then up on the top right is the volume button. And it's not really a volume, it's either on or off, okay? And so you'll hear this like cha-ching noise, and if you don't like that, because after a while it does become a little bit irritating, and if you are on Zoom and you're sharing the audio with everybody and trying to, you know, to chat at the same time, you're gonna hear it when somebody makes a move, and that can be a little bit annoying after a while. Okay, also beside the volume button is the exit door, okay? Once you exit, you cannot go back into the same game. Okay, the other thing to keep in mind is that if you go bankrupt, okay, you may freeze the game. Okay, so if you do get bankrupt and the game is frozen, then everybody needs to exit, and then you could just recreate a new game. And that's how you get around that. Sometimes when somebody goes bankrupt, the game just continues, and the person who's bankrupt can just sit there and watch the game or participate, or potentially they can leave. Okay, so I've been involved in both situations where it freezes and everybody has to leave, or the one person forces everybody to end the game. But I've also been in that situation where the game continues on and that person can just sit in and watch. So I've done that where I've lost and I just sat and watched how other people played, and then I would ask them questions in between. Okay, so that's what the chat is for. Okay, so enjoy your game. Thanks, everybody.